In a retaliation, Russia has launched overnight drone attacks on Ukraine's Chernihiv city and surrounding region, injuring at least one person. Ukraine's State Emergency Service says a 10-year-old child suffered a stress reaction following this attack. Local authorities report damage to a farm building and a gas station in the wider Chernihiv region, while two garages caught fire in Chernihiv, damaging vehicles. News Central's senior international correspondent and anchor Afua Hagan joins us for more on this. Afua, this is spiraling and we see children suffering this. Bring us up to speed. We see that 3 people have been reported dead, 2 major grain terminals have been halted, and Ukraine says 4 Russian warships were also damaged. What's the latest?
Yes, we do seem to be seeing a pattern of escalation when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war, particularly with Ukraine managing to hit these targets that are quite deep inside Russia and behind enemy lines, as it were, quite far from the Ukrainian border. So to bring you up to date, it seems like there are 3 people reported dead and 2 major grain terminals have been halted. Now, President Zelenskyy described this as a unique operation involving missiles as well as aerial and naval drones. Now, we know that when it comes to drone attacks, it's something that the Ukraine pride itself on doing very, very well. Just recently, there was a drone attack that was some 600 kilometers into Russia, some 600 miles, excuse me, which is a real achievement for the Ukraine. Now, the target wasn't simply the city, but also the naval base, its air defenses, piers and supporting infrastructure. So 3 people killed, an 8-year-old child was killed, another 24 people were wounded, and hundreds of drone attacks were reported across the wider region. You saw residential buildings being damaged there and authorities declaring a state of emergency. Now, there's also a claim from the Ukraine that they damaged Russian warships as well. That hasn't actually been verified, but they are claiming that 4 Russian warships were also damaged in this attack.
So we also understand that the region of Novorossiysk became the Black Sea Fleet's main refuge after Ukraine drove much of it out of Crimea. How significant is Kiev's ability now to strike Russia's last major naval stronghold?
So earlier on in this part of the war, Russia's Black Sea Fleet, so to speak, was overwhelmingly associated with this base in occupied Crimea. But repeated Ukrainian missile and sea drone attacks have made operating from there even more dangerous. And Russia has moved much of its fleet north to Novorossiysk on the Russian mainland. So it's described as the last Russian stronghold for that fleet in the Black Sea. So the Ukraine is effectively demonstrating that moving those ships doesn't mean it's beyond Kiev's reach. They could be in Crimea, they could be in this other region, but it doesn't mean that they're out of the reach of the Ukraine. That's what they want to impress on us, and that's what they want us to see by the launching of this attack. Novorossiysk is about 300 kilometers from the front. And remember, I said that lately what we're seeing is deeper incursions into Russia by the Ukraine. 600 kilometers, 300 kilometers in this case. There were other attacks that have been sort of 1,000, 2,500 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. So that matters operationally because it means that you've got Russian frigates that are out of action, but it's also very symbolic because it means that Ukraine are reinforcing that they can hit deep behind enemy lines.
All right, News Central senior international correspondent and anchor Afua Hagan giving us an update on the Russia-Ukraine war and the retaliatory strike that once again has left tons of families devastated.